Well, we're back on the chicken truck again. Today we have the wonderfully joyous task of trying to get the firewall figured out, or rather the lack of firewall. Just rewind and do a little backstory here for any of you who are new. I bought this truck without doors on it. The doors were missing. And so what happened is I welded in a new floor, okay? And then I went out and I bought these doors here, which were off a different truck, and I went to bolt them on, and one side fit fine, the other side did not fit at all. Like, it was just, I spent weeks trying to get this door to line up, and then finally I pulled them off, I set them side by side, and then that's when I noticed that the passenger door was 3 inches shorter in height than the driver's door. And I've been doing bodywork for over 200 years and I've never encountered that in my life. Leave a comment if you have, but it wasn't that bad actually to solve it though, what I did. So I went over to the driver's side here and I cut this door right in half, and then I shortened it 3 inches so that it matches the other door. So that was no big deal. And then to get it to actually, fit back on the cab again, I also shortened the cab 3 inches. So that was all well and fine. But the problem we have now is that the firewall, I had to cut it out to shorten the cab, and now the firewall won't fit. So it's just, these problems just keep building up and building up. So today we're going to try and see if we can get the firewall to fit. Again, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. I can't understand how these problems keep happening, but if anybody knows, please just leave a comment and let me know, like, if I'm doing something really wrong here. Again, we got to do some fiddling around here. This is what we're dealing with. I really want to keep like the stock appearing firewall. The easier thing to do would be to just build a new firewall, but that's not really the look I'm after. So step one is just to get this cleaned up, see if there's anything here actually usable, and then we'll proceed from there, I guess. Well, I finally got this silly flange off of here. I think whoever put that on at GM was getting paid by the spot weld. That was really on there. So had I known there were so many spot welds and it was going to be such a bugger, I'd probably just leave it on there and just do the old Louisiana lap technique. But it's off there now, so what the heck. It's also become apparent that I couldn't have picked a worse firewall to start with. This thing's got so many holes and it's all bashed up and stuff. So I think before I start fitting this in the truck, what I'm going to do is just try and determine what holes are factory and what ones aren't. The other issue is GM had a whole pile of extra holes in here for various different accessories and different heaters and stuff. And they never filled them or anything. They just put the insulation on the inside and just left them. But I guess we'll fill as many of these holes as we can right now. Okay, I ran into a bit of a snag here. The original heater, the deluxe heater, won't work because I'm shaving the cowl vents on the side. So I thought I had another different style heater around here somewhere, but I must have sold it or something. And then I have this heater, which I had the core fixed, and I put a new 12 volt motor in for a truck I used to have and then never got around to installing it. And this one fits over here, but I've been saving this for my 36 Chevy, so I don't really want to use this one in this truck. And it also means I have to fill this giant hole here. I think there's another style of heater where it fits here, but it's not the deluxe heater, but I don't know. I think maybe the smart thing to do is just save on filling all the random holes right now, and until I have a better plan of what's getting used and what isn't. And that also works for me because I don't really like welding up holes on firewalls, and I'm sure you don't like watching me weld holes in firewalls. So we'll move on to the next step here. It does not fit. How could this be? How could it not fit? Nothing has changed. Oh no. Leave a comment and let me know what I did wrong here. It's almost like the truck is shorter somehow. Fair warning, we got to do some yakking here. You can see we got this finally kind of clamped into place, sort of, maybe. Original plan, I don't know if I mentioned it yet, but was just to set it back up in here, trim this top edge off, and then re-plug weld it back on. And I was going to pull it up 3 inches because that's about the max I could get and still retain this edge to plug weld to, and then trim the remaining inch off the bottom. But the problem with that is then I also have to section this center floor piece an inch, which is a bunch of more welding, and then it also changes our steering column location and a bunch of other stuff. So what I'm kind of leaning towards now, oh yeah, the other issue here is that we have this little step here. So in order to make it all work, I was originally just going to weld in a flat piece across here. So this would all be flat across the top. Then I thought, well, I'll just butt weld this across here and then plug weld the outer edges. And then now that I'm looking at it, and we have this thing kind of in place here, I can actually get this up the full 4 inches that it needs to go if I just do like a butt weld all the way through here, which, you know, not really a big deal to butt weld that. And then that saves a bunch of time trying to trim off the bottom and rework all that. I don't have to section the middle of this. I can even retain these original fender support brace locations. So I think that's going to be the best option there. The reason that this needs to stay the same and I can't just trim all of the material off the bottom, is because I am keeping a 6-cylinder in here, so I need the same amount of clearance that I had originally, so I can still change the manifold gaskets. I can still pull the head off if I have to, or valve cover, or anything else. So I want to keep it serviceable, so that's why we went to all the trouble to raise it up into here instead of just yakking it off the bottom. And in theory, if everything works out, we can keep the stock steering column location. I can keep all the stock pedal. I don't have to modify the pedals at all. So that'll save a lot of time. And the throttle, pedal, gas pedal, and all that stuff can all stay in its stock location. So even though it's more welding up here, it's less work later on trying to re-engineer the mechanical bits. So now that we have a plan, I think the next step is to pop this out and start, I guess, prepping this for it to be butt welded in. was working late and the kitties were waiting for me in the window. They were worried about me. It's nice to know that someone cares, you know? All right, well, it's all burned in there, and I didn't get too fancy with trying to finish out the welds or anything. Just left it pretty rough for now. And there's also, unfortunately, braces running in behind there, so I can't really get in too good to planish the weld out too good in that area. Plus, I'm lazy and entitled and don't care because it's a firewall, and so whatever. I'm just glad to get it in there, and I actually don't completely hate the way that it is. I thought I would, but it looks almost factory, kind of, the way that it is, where it comes down like that and then leads into there. So you can see there's the brace or braces I was talking about. So whatever, not really the end of the world. So I don't know, maybe if the videos do good, we'll come back and go old school and do some lead sculpting after I get some more of the metalwork done and the rest of these unneeded holes filled up. Or we'll just fill it with Bondo, or even more likely, we'll just take our handy dandy ice pick here and just beat it all in, and then get this thing halfway finished, dump it outside in the backyard and let it rot. That sounds pretty realistic there. The next project is to get all of this tied back together. So we got to build new toe boards or upper floor pans, whatever you want to call them, new inner cowl panels, and then I also have to section the cowl still. So this here needs to move up and get welded back together. So because it looks pretty goofy right now with this giant thing here and this all drop down and the rest of the truck being sectioned so low. So that'll be a upcoming task. I'm just glad to kind of get the firewall roughed back in. This was something I wasn't really looking forward to, and you know, fiddling around with this and getting this all figured out was more work than actually sectioning the rest of the cab. So go figure, but it's at least in there now. It gives a lot of strength kind of back to the cab, and once we get this all tied back in, it'll really help to get it all strengthened up, and then we can start working our way towards cutting the roof on this thing, which is what we're all waiting for, right? Of course, all of this extra work we did, butt welding this in and, you know, doing all this stupid nonsense, could have been avoided if we were just going to run a small block Chevy. If we were running a small block Chevy, I could have just trimmed off what I needed off the bottom of the firewall and avoided all of this extra nonsense. But if I put in a small block Chevy, then I gotta change the rear end and I gotta change this and that. And I don't have a spare small block Chevy laying around, but I got lots of random 6-cylinders kicking around. So the most realistic way to get this truck back on the road is with a 6-cylinder, 3 on the tree, and stock everything else. So plus I think it'd be cool. I think it's cool that way. So that's what we're doing there, and I don't want to affect the serviceability of the engine, so this tunnel here needs to be in the stock location. So that's the reasoning for making things very complicated here. All right, well, I just wasn't happy with the center area of the firewall, so I decided to go back and tune it up at the 9th hour. And right now we're just using the old Pennsylvania porcupine to stretch out the weld in the area that's behind the brace. So this is kind of this is like extreme last resort, because it really doesn't work as well as you know, cutting out the whole opening and the brace and everything and hammer and dolling it with full access. But I don't think it's worth it on this particular project to go to that extent just for a firewall that won't be seen once the hood is on. But again, I just couldn't leave enough alone, and I had to go ahead and and ruin my life and waste some more time. Right on, Kyle. Doing a very thorough job of there's the bullseye pick there, just tuning up the rest of the area. When I'm stretching or finishing out a weld seam, I try to kind of work the whole seam back over. So that's kind of what we're doing here. We're starting with the worst area, which is the area behind the brace, because we couldn't access it before, and we're fixing that, and then just going back over the whole seam again, just to help level it out best we can. We're not going for perfect on this, but I just had to get it a little better. Here we are, just hammering and dolling the rest of the seam a little better, just getting it all kind of, I guess, well, better than what it was, you know. Not good, but slightly better. That's what we're going for. I'm just doing this voiceover because there was somebody parked outside my house listening to some kind of weird jungle music really loud in their car. So I didn't want to get sued or what have you, or force you to listen to, horrible, obnoxious music. So that's what we're doing here. That's why I'm talking. Here I am test fitting the heater. I had an epiphany and realized that it might not fit, so I kind of wanted to see if it would actually fit. And it seems like it is by the way things are going here. Alright, so as you saw, I just couldn't leave well enough alone. I had to go back and tune up this area. It was just, I started editing the video and I was like, come on, Kyle, get your act together. So of course I had to go back and spend a little time tuning it up. I'm not trying to BS anyone into saying that it's still perfect or anywhere near close to perfect. Still needs body work or lead work or whatever we're gonna do, but I just it was just, yeah, I don't know, wasting time. Where those braces were, I was just using the old Pennsylvania porcupine unispotter, and then I used the slide hammer. And the slide hammer with the studs, it stretches the weld area back out. It's obviously not ideal. It's basically like using an ice pick to stretch your welds back out, but for that little tiny area where the brace was, it worked, I guess, kind of. And I'm not going to get into drilling out all the welds or cutting the braces open and just to make it like 1% better. It's just not worth it, but this wasn't worth it either, but we did it anyways. We're just literally simply out of time to get this any better than what it is, but I don't really know if it needs to be any better than that for what we're doing. But it is an improvement over where we left it before. Unfortunately, that really puts us behind on editing now, because I usually try to get these videos uploaded onto Patreon the day before they go onto YouTube, because I upload the videos twice. Once for the patrons of the show, I do it as an unlisted video without ads, and then I upload the second video for YouTube, which it's public, so it has ads in it. A couple weeks ago, somebody was whining and complaining and saying that I'm greedy for putting ads in the videos, but like I said, that's YouTube that does that. I put them up on Patreon without ads as unlisted videos. Unlisted videos don't have ads, or at least I hope they don't. If they do, I'll be pretty upset. But that's just kind of a little treat for the patrons of the show. But I can't. Anybody new here, I'm doing this project specifically as a YouTube only project, so I can't just spend all this time on something and then spend even more time making the videos just for free out of the kindness of my heart. So even though I only make probably maybe a third of what minimum wage is right here in Saskatchewan for the actual time that I put into this, it again, I'm not gonna completely shoot myself in the foot, and I don't even have a choice because YouTube puts the ads in anyways if it's a public video. So there's your explanation there for anybody that wants to complain about the ads. I get it, but at the same time, tough luck. If you want something for free, then there's always a compromise. Oh yeah, you also saw me put this heater in, and good news, bad news, it does kind of fit. it fits in the stock location. Bad news is that it's not gonna quite work with the cowl vent. I'm going back and forth on shaving the cowl vent. I do like having the cowl vent for drivability because it's in the summertime it's better than having AC to have that cowl vent cranked open. So I don't know. We'll have to deal with that later, I guess. Oh, this is recording. Okay. If I do decide to keep the cowl vent, it's really, I guess, not even that big of a deal to just cut this here and angle it on the heater so it has enough room for the cowl vent. So that's pretty easy to fix. I don't want to move the heater any further towards the floor because then there's no room for somebody's feet down here. I also mentioned earlier in the video, whoa, nice camera work, you jerk, that there's two different styles of standard heaters for this. I really don't know if there is or not. This hole though that I was talking about earlier for the heater motor on the deluxe heater, I do believe that that is only for the deluxe heater. The other trucks, they all have just a steel plate that's screwed over from the outside, so that's not a big deal to replicate that. But yeah, I think all the standard, man, the camera was awesome right today. I think all the standard heaters did not fit in that hole, so whatever. I was mistaken. Now it's time for everyone's favorite part of the show. What's that? Oh, it's not the end? Okay, now it's time for everyone's second favorite part of the show. It's that time where we address all of your concerns and questions in the comment section. So far, the biggest controversy and drama that we have right now is how the fadeaway fenders are going to operate with the door, which is definitely going to be a challenge. So rather than waste time talking about it and telling you my plan, you'll just have to wait and see. That segment of the project is a long ways off yet, but it is going to be a challenge for sure. And if anybody wants to do some homework or get an idea of what's going on in my head of how it will work, you can check out the Custom Car Chronicle online. Rick Hoving wrote an article a little while back about fadeaway fenders, and there's kind of a whole write-up on there on how they were done in the 1940s and 1950s by all the big custom car builders back then. They put fadeaways on all different kinds of cars. I don't think anybody's ever done them on one of these trucks, but there's so a lot of pictures and information there, which will kind of, for those of you who are just really bothered by it, you can kind of read up on that and get some ideas of the direction that we're headed. It's definitely going to be a challenge for sure, but it's all metal, so we can cut and weld and we'll make it work. And it's not about doing what's easy, it's just about doing what I want. And I want it to have fadeaway fenders, so we're gonna make them work. There's also some discussion about this rear floor panel that we made in the last episode. Some of you are wondering why I didn't just use the brake to make this edge here, and that's a good question. I don't know if it might not show up in the video, but if you look, you can see this is actually curved here because this back panel is curved outwards. I'll put a straight edge on it. You can see it's got quite a bit of curve to it outwards. So I couldn't just break that edge and make a flat edge, because if I just welded that to a flat edge, it's going to completely buckle in this whole panel, and this panel would never look right. So I had to make that edge to match this curve exactly. So that's the reason that I use the tipping die for turning up the edge of this panel. It wouldn't have worked if I had to use the brake. So hope that answers that question. I don't know. What else is there? Oh yeah. Got a lot of comments about the hand marks on my cabinets here. So this is from a mosquito that I killed during the summer. You can see it there. So that's why there's a handprint on my cabinet. Anywho, thanks so much everyone for watching, and thanks as always to all the people who have sent in donations to the show, as well as our supporters over on Patreon. You're all very much appreciated, and I just wanted to also apologize for the even more painful to watch video than usual this week. As expected, I've put myself hopelessly behind schedule again, and this video is pretty well down to the wire, so it's probably going to be pretty rough around the edges, or even like more so than it normally is. So whatever, I gotta feed the algorithm. Another note before we go here, I was considering doing a live stream sometime in this month, which I believe is December now. So if anyone has any questions, I know I get a lot of questions in the comments and things like that, and I can't possibly type out answers to them all, but if you'd like, we could do a live stream this month sometime, and you can ask any questions, and I can do my best to answer them, or what have you. So I guess leave a comment somewhere in the comment thing and let me know what time or day would work best for a live stream for you. I'm fairly open, but I would think probably sometime in the evening or possibly on a weekend would probably be the smart or logical choice for that. But again, you can let me know, or just let me know if you don't want that at all and you hate that and you're going to unsubscribe if I do any more live streams. But I did promise one when I did one back in like July or whatever, that I was going to do one in December, so some of you missed out on it. So we'll do one every 6 months or something, just for anybody that does have questions. And now I'm going to stop talking and sign off. So see you again soon. Thank you.